Hello everyone, Doug from STUD here with a beautiful SKOUT Epic airgun rifle on my workbench. And I want to talk to you today about a magazine that we designed for this gun. First, I'll just show you this beautiful factory magazine. Beautiful magnetic retention system. Slides in here really nice lid, just perfectly machined, really spectacular. But got something really cool. The STUD magazine for the SKOUT. Same retention system, available in 177, 22, 25, and 30 calibers. And watch this. I should say listen. I hope the mic picks that up. Solid. N40 magnets. 3 of those bad boys in the back of that thing. That is not going anywhere. And before I take the gun off the bench and tell you about the new STUD Mag, shameless pitch for the new STUD Ultrapod, redesigned with a X axis in it. If you notice as I rotate this guy can move left and right, about 3/4 of an inch of travel. Of course it goes up and down. A little bit of redesign, we lighten the pitch up a little bit so it's a little bit finer in the vertical adjustment. Available on our site right now and great for 50, 100 yards, throw it in the range bag, not a lot of money. You're not going to win a world championship with it, but if you just don't want to use a squeeze bag, it's a great alternative. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. First thing I want to talk about is the factory magazine, and they have done a really beautiful job on designing this magazine, and the fact that they made it out of aluminum is just great. By the way, the rotor, plastic. That is not metal. Couple issues with this magazine. Why did we design a magazine for this gun? We had some customers contacting us that buy our magazines for our FX air guns, Impex, Pantheras, things like that. And the first thing they said is, I really like a stop in the rotor. I really don't like this adjustment thing. I can see why they did it. It makes it a little easier for the customer to adjust the tension. But because, you know, we put different tension on a 177, a 25-30, and, you know, 35, we actually adjust the tension by how we wind these. They allow you to take it apart, we don't. The other thing, there's a problem with, there's an odd spring tension on the rotor. When I take this thing and I spin this like this, there's 1 turn, 2 turns, 2.5 turns, that's all you get. Why is that? What's going on? And how does that affect the tension? It doesn't seem really linear. So like if I just turn this like a 1/2 turn, it's really weak. If I turn it 1 turn, it's a little bit stronger. If I turn 1.5, it gets way stronger. So it's not linear, is what I'm getting at. The tension is not the same as every pellet gets ejected from the magazine. Lastly, just like the FX magazines, after I measured this magazine and studied it completely, I found out the round was not in the center of the barrel again. Again, they put clearance in the rotor and in the clearance for the back of the magazine to allow the pellet or the slug to move freely. In this particular case, they carry that clearance directly into the staking position. So instead of the staking position being in the center, it's actually hit the clearance area, which is moving the round up and to the right. Okay? So that's why we designed a mag for this. What I want to do is I took both mags apart and I want to show them to you. So let's look at the inside of this magazine. Again, this is a factory one. I unscrewed it. Again, this guy's plastic. Put this over here. And the first thing I want to show you is the spring. So you've got this spring right here. And then I'm going to bring this up to the camera a little bit. Maybe that'll help a little bit. I'm talking about this rotor right here, not this one out here, the one in the center. What happens is when this spring gets engaged with the rotor, as you pre-tension this, just like any other spring, the spring's going to get smaller. You can actually see it happening already. At 2.5 turns, this spring gets so tight it actually contacts the rotor. And I'm going to show you that in another one that I sectioned in a moment. Okay, that's how that works. Other thing I want to show you, just in contrast, here's the difference between the two springs. That's our magazine, or excuse me, our spring. It's about, I don't know, 1 inch. This is 5/8, something like that. I don't know. It's a lot smaller. When it's a lot smaller, it doesn't give you as much linear ability for the spring to wind without strange things happening to it. So when you have a spring that's a lot larger, it gives you a lot more ability to design a mag with very, very smooth linear tension. Okay? So I'm going to take these parts and I'm going to set them aside. And I'm going to show you the STUD SKOUT Epic magazine apart. First of all, yes, a roller bearing again. No plastic on plastic. Oh, that's another thing. Well, I'll show you that in a minute. Well, I'll show you right now. If you take this magazine and do this, this is moving, I don't know, 5, 10 thousandths. That's directly translated into the staking of the thing. Okay? Ours, because there's a roller bearing on here, there's no, I'll show you this. There's absolutely no, well, listen. Oh, no rattling. That's because the entire thing is fixed. There is zero clearance. And when you turn this, smooth as glass. Okay? Let's go back to our mag again. Roller bearing, spring, but look, inside. What don't you see? You don't see a center lug sticking out of it. Why is there no center lug? It would be a lot easier for us to design this mag to have the lug be in the center. Just makes it easier. But we want a big bearing in here. So what we did is the bearing is really, really big, which gives it a lot of stability. And the other reason the bearing is big is look what fits inside the bearing. The spring. You can see better right here. Okay? So the spring has room to do its thing. It's able to collapse without tightening up on anything. And of course, these are all fixed in place. Press fit. Press fit. No shake. Okay? Of course, we have a magnetic lid. Not as strong as theirs. Theirs is too strong in my opinion. Like when I first got the magazine, I couldn't figure out how to open the thing. Finally, I see there's a fingernail thing. I just got these two nice little circles. Just grab the circles, lift, comes right off. Put it back on again. Okay, that's the difference between the two mags. Now here's what I really want to show you that's important. Here is the SKOUT magazine. And I wrecked a $100 magazine by putting it on the stud milling machine. And you can see I actually milled a slot in it. So you could actually see into here what was happening as we tension this thing. So the first thing is, I know this is a little hard to see. I'm going to try to move this around and get a few shots. I really want to address your attention to this area right here. So the lug that's in the center is there, and the spring is right there. And I'm guessing the difference between that spring and that lug, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch aside, something like that. So again, I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to wind it. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to take the spring and I'm going to show you. If you look in here, this spring now is not being limited by the spring tension. It's being limited by the spring being wrapped around the center lug. So what's happening, you're not getting consistent spring pressure. You're getting tension from that spring being totally unhappy about being wrapped around the center lug. And in my opinion, that's probably not the best way to control the tension on the pellet. Okay? Let's look at the STUD magazine. .177 STUD magazine, cross section through the center. You can see everything. First of all, what do you see? A beautiful roller bearing in here. And by the way, I took the magazine in the milling machine and I milled off our lug, our stop area, so that we could duplicate the same thing that's going on with the tension on this. So what you see is the rotor, the bearing, the spring, and what don't you see? There's no lug inside of here. This is totally empty. Okay? Now, let's do the same thing. we were able to go 2 turns and it started to get tight, and 2.5, that was it. Count these carefully with me. 1 turn, 2 turns, 2.5 turns. Oh, totally easy to turn. 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at the spring, what's happening in the center. See how that spring? That has room to collapse down that. And this is why the STUD magazines have such beautiful linear spring tension on the rotor. We, depending on the caliber, we actually pre-tension these to different, I'm not going to tell you the amounts we use because it's kind of proprietary. We actually adjust these for whatever the caliber is, and we've studied the weight of the pellets or slugs and how many rotations it takes. And you just take that STUD magazine and you let that thing slowly rotate back through the full rotation, and there is almost no difference in the tension on the magazine. It's a really, really big deal. Is it worth not buying the factory magazine? Well, they're $100 and ours are, I don't know, 70 or something like that. It may change when you read this, depending on where in the world that you buy them. But will it make the round not go in the right place when you shoot it? These pellets and slugs are incredibly forgiving. When I've studied what happens through some of these factory magazines, when you can feel when you advanced the lever and push the round into the barrel, a lot of times with the factory magazine, you'll feel resistance. That resistance is caused, in my opinion, from the pellet being misshapen or being shoved through the back of the barrel, not being lined up. And as it's being pushed in, you're basically reforming the pellet as it enters into the barrel. And believe it or not, that does just a really great job in correcting the damage that a magazine could potentially do to it. So you might say, well, if I buy a STUD magazine, is it going to shoot a whole lot better than the factory magazine? Maybe, maybe not. As I said, the barrel is so forgiving the way the design is. By the time you push the probe in and how it reforms it, it corrects really it has to. Basically, it's a swedging die. You push it in, it's lead, it's in a hardened barrel, it basically gets formed to that hole, whatever it is, 221 thousandths, whatever it is for a 22, and it's ready to go again. But what it doesn't take care of is the lead that's shaved off the skirt or the end of the head of the pellet or the slug as it gets skived off. And I believe the only really difference you're going to see is when you start shooting at longer ranges. So I just want to be totally honest with you guys. These magazines aren't going to change your life, but if you want to be nice to your pellets, STUD magazine is a great, great, great way to go. The other thing I want to do is tell you that these magazines, let's grab another one here, are totally compatible with the entire STUD ecosystem, which means if you have an FX Impact magazine or STUD loading system in 17722, 25, or 230, guess what? It'll fit the new STUD magazines for the Epic. And I'm just going to do just a little demo for some of you that have never seen how the whole STUD loading system works. I'm going to take a brand new set of JSB pellets. These are 22s. And let's start over here. All you do is you put them in here, shake them around a little bit. That's it. They're all full. So what I've just done, I've just staged all the pellets in the STUD feeder the correct way. Now if I want to, fill up 4 loaders, I just take the loader, put it on top, turn it upside down, give it a couple of taps. One more there. Okay. Put the lid back on again. Now, let's assume I did 4 of those. Why do I have 4? 4 kind of fills your barrel. Now, if I want to fill my magazine, I take the magazine lid off, the little hole that's in the center here. I rotate that till the first pellet is exposed. That's your staking pellet. Take the magazine, preload it 1 turn. Put your staking pellet in, take the lid off the loader, put the STUD magazine on top of the feeder, turn it around, I've completely loaded that magazine. Just like you see here, completely put the lid on, ready to shoot. And by the way, these are available as a bundle on our website. So if you order a magazine, a feeder, and 4 loaders, you basically get the magazine for $20 off. So you're getting a magazine for 59 bucks. Pretty great. Let me get rid of these. Let me show you the DTM. The other product we have, again, that's compatible with the FX Impact or the STUD SKOUT magazine is the STUD DTM. Oh yeah. If you just want to load one set of one magazine at a time, same thing. Just take some pellets, throw it in the system, give it a little shake. There's always one that wants to take a little longer. I've just, again, filled that thing up. But what's cool about the DTM, it's essentially a shape-shifting device. And what it allows you to do is I rotate this ring, the center section lifts up, and it allows the pellets to move sideways and down directly into the magazine. In this particular case, you do have to put a staking pellet in yourself. So we're going to put one staking pellet in. Okay? Now we're going to take the DTM and put it on top of the magazine, and watch this. Magic. Take it off. Totally full, ready to go. Folks, we're really proud of the STUD SKOUT Epic magazine. It's kind of everything that we learned about magazines over the last 4 years of designing and manufacturing them, and we put everything into this magazine. It's really a finely designed product. I know you're going to love it, and especially if you try these. If you guys are in Europe and you're shooting the 1.77 calibers, you're going to see this is going to change your life with the way it controls the pellets without damaging the skirts. Give us a try. Again, we appreciate you folks. We're only 4 years into the airgun industry. We've been treated like gold. We appreciate the dealers that we have. We're adding more dealers all over the world. And we appreciate you as a customer. And we love making great stuff for you folks. Thank you for buying from STUD, and have a great day.